Hey there. So you want to grow your company, right? But you don't want to risk your own personal assets to do it. Well, that's where business credit comes in. Over the next few minutes, we're going to walk through step by step how to build a killer credit profile from the ground up. Ready? Let's do this. This is it, right? This is the question that keeps so many of us entrepreneurs staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m. You know you need money to grow, but the thought of putting your house or your personal savings on the line, it's terrifying. Well, the answer, that key to separating your business from your life, is exactly what we're digging into today. So, what is business credit anyway? The easiest way to think about it is like a financial report card for your company. It's totally separate from your personal credit score. It's basically a public story that tells lenders, suppliers, you name it, how trustworthy your business is when it comes to paying its bills. And, why should you even care about this story? Well, because a good story opens up a ton of doors. We're talking about getting loans and lines of credit way more easily. And not just that, we're talking better deals like lower interest rates. It can even mean getting more time to pay your suppliers or snagging lower insurance premiums. But honestly, the biggest deal of all, that last point right there, it builds a firewall between your business and your personal life. That is huge. Okay, so where do we start? It all begins with a super solid foundation. In this first part, we're going to cover the absolute must-do steps to make sure the financial world takes your business seriously right from the get-go. All right, these 4 steps, they're totally non-negotiable. First, you've got to make it official. Register your business as an LLC or a corporation. Step 2, and do this right away, open a business bank account. You have to keep those finances separate. Next up, you need an EIN from the IRS. Just think of it like a social security number, but for your company. And finally, get a dedicated business phone number and address to look professional. These are the little things that create that legitimate footprint that lenders are looking for. Now, here is a super simple but absolutely critical tip that trips up so many people. Consistency. That name, that address, that phone number you just set up, it needs to be exactly the same everywhere. On your bank accounts, your tax forms, your applications, all of it. Even something tiny like writing ST instead of street can throw up a red flag and just stop you in your tracks. Okay, you're going to hear about 2 different really important numbers on this journey. First is the EIN, your tax ID from the IRS. You need this for, well, almost everything legal and financial in the US. But then there's the DUNS number. This one comes from Dun & Bradstreet, one of the big credit bureaus. Getting a DUNS number is basically like raising your hand and telling them, hey, I'm a real business over here, start a file on me. So with that foundation all set, it is time to actually start building. This next part is all about laying those first crucial bricks of your credit history. So how in the world do you get your first account when you have absolutely no credit to begin with? And yeah, this is that classic chicken and egg problem, isn't it? Lenders want to see that you're good with money before they give you any, but how are you supposed to prove you're good with money if nobody will give you any in the first place? It definitely feels like a catch-22. But don't sweat it, there's a way around this. In fact, there are 2 really great tried and true ways for new businesses to get that ball rolling and get those first accounts on their credit report. Okay, option 1, look into a secured business credit card. How this works is you give the bank a cash deposit, and that amount becomes your credit limit. It's super low risk for them, which makes it a fantastic way for you to start proving you're reliable. The second option is to talk to your vendors and suppliers. Ask them if you can get net 30 terms. That just means you get 30 days to pay your invoices. Now, here's the key. You have to make sure they actually report those on-time payments to the business credit bureaus. This creates what's called a trade line, and that's like a building block for your credit report. Now, as you start using that credit, there is one number I want you to burn into your brain: 30%. This is the golden rule. You always want to keep your balance below 30% of your credit limit. So if you have a card with a $10,000 limit, try to never let the balance go above $3,000. Why? Because it tells lenders that you're in control and not just living on borrowed money. All right, so your foundation is poured and the walls are starting to go up. But how do you keep this whole thing standing strong for the long haul? This last section is all about maintenance. It's about the habits you need to protect and grow that credit score for years to come. And this quote from Dun & Bradstreet just nails it, doesn't it? Credit is never an issue until it becomes one. It's so true. You can't just build it and then forget about it. You've got to be proactive, because that's the only way you're going to avoid some really nasty surprises later on. So what does being proactive actually look like? Well, it really just comes down to a few simple habits. The big one, of course, is paying your bills on time, every time, even early if you can. Keep those credit card balances low. And as you get bigger, it's a good idea to have a mix of different kinds of credit, not just credit cards. And finally, and this is so important, you've got to check your credit reports on a regular basis to look for any mistakes. And when I say monitor, I mean checking in with the big three, Dun & Bradstreet, Experian, and Equifax. As you can see here, they each have a slightly different way for you to get your hands on your report. Seriously, if you can make a habit of doing this every quarter or so, you'll be able to track your progress and, more importantly, catch and fix any errors before they can do any real damage. Now, you gotta remember, this is a marathon, not a sprint. This timeline here gives you a pretty realistic idea of how it goes. The first few months are just about getting the foundation right. It might even take up to 6 months before you see your first accounts pop up on your reports. But if you stick with it, you'll start to see some real meaningful growth within a year. And in a couple of years, you can have a really strong credit profile that's actually working for you. Look, if you remember only one thing from all of this, please let it be this. The secret here isn't about opening a ton of credit cards and loans. It's about one word: consistency. Seriously, having just 2 or 3 accounts that you always pay on time is so much more powerful than having 10 accounts where you're occasionally late. Consistency is king. So there you have it. The path is pretty clear. Building strong business credit is what's going to protect your personal life and really unlock your company's growth. And that whole journey, from just being an idea to becoming a financially solid business, it all starts with just one small step. So after everything we just talked about, I gotta ask, what's your first step gonna be?